Good day everybody, my name is Albert Wille and this is a company called Mind Prosperity. We believe wherever your mind goes, where your imagination goes, where your thoughts go, that is where your life is going to end up, and that has such an amazing impact on your life. We also focus a lot on emotional intelligence, how to deal with your emotions, how to get your mindset in a good place. And I also do sessions like this with business people. I have these two amazing booklets that I do with businesses. Also many other sessions that I'm doing in businesses. I do this with groups, with families, and with individuals. Sessions on emotional intelligence, sessions on mindset. So if you want to contact me to know more, please feel free to send me an email, or also feel free to go visit our website. On the website we also have amazing material and you can know more about us, or also book a free consultation from our website. I also want to encourage you to like, to subscribe, leave a comment, and also share this video to other people because we do believe it's going to impact their lives and help them richly. Today I'm so excited to announce to you Jacques Gombault. I have an interview with him. We did this amazing interview and he is a fantastic actor. He also makes his own films, which he's going to talk about a bit today. He is also busy with an anti-bullying project that he's going to talk about today, and also the involvement of Touching Africa, and also how you can get involved if you want to help with that. So without any further ado, here is me and Jacques Gombault. Enjoy. Okay, good day everybody. Welcome to Mind Prosperity. For those of you guys who are watching for the first time, Mind Prosperity is all about head first. I got this idea from a Taylor Swift song where she said we go head first, fearless. So what do we mean by head first? You go with your thinking first, you go with your decision first, you go with your imagination first, because where your mind goes, your life follows. And today we have a great interview with somebody that I met recently, and we talk a lot. Somebody that's extremely passionate, somebody that's a really exciting person. He's a fantastic actor, writer, and he's busy with very involved with the anti-bullying project, of which we're going to speak about a lot today. And today we have Jacques Gombault with us. Welcome, Jacques.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
It's great to see you, and thank you so much for being willing to do this. The first question I'm going to ask is, I just have to ask this. Actually, some people asked me to ask this. Every single time when I tell people here, I'm going to do a session with Jacques Gombault, this is their response. They're like, oh yeah, he's that actor that always plays the bad guy. How do you feel about that response?
You know what? The quick answer to that is every story. Sometimes you're a good guy in a bad movie or a bad production, and sometimes you're a bad guy in a good story. The bad guy is very important for a story, because nobody's just going to like Red Riding Hood just because she wears a red cape. They like Red Riding Hood because there's a wolf and they empathize with her. So the long and the short of it is I've pretty much nailed the bad guy character now. And the great thing is you don't have to kiss the girls. Good guys have to kiss the girls, and that's a slippery slope I don't want to get into.
That's a very good answer. I love it. I really love it, because like it's so funny, because like you're really one of the nicest guys I've ever met, and now it's like this thing like he's the bad guy in the movie. But what I think you're saying is very true, and by that I can say you're a very good actor, because like in real life you're extremely nice, extremely friendly, and then you have to get into these movies and play. But do you like? I've seen some of your movies. I want to ask, do you always play the bad guy, or is it just sometimes? Have there been movies where you were actually the good guy?
Just sometimes. I think after Song for Katrijn, Jan Scholes told me, Jacques, you're going to be the bad guy for a little while longer now. Because he said I did such a sterling job with Robert Gous, my character in Song for Katrijn. And lo and behold, it turned out that way. And just look at it from a film maker's perspective. The first 10 pages of a movie script is your exposition, in which you have to establish your good guy and your bad guy, etc., etc. And the problem comes in if your audience starts liking the bad guy. Then your story is going to fall flat. So sometimes they almost cast the typical villain, because this villain comes with a history of villainship. So they don't have to establish him that much. They say, that's the bad guy. We already don't like him. Which is the same for the good guy.
Okay.
So yeah.
Did Jan Scholes ever tell you why he called the good guy Jinx?
Good question. No, he has not. That is a good point.
I always wondered about that. Like I remember when Song for Katrine just came out. I think I had 9 Valiant Swart albums. I remember it was a long time ago, but I was so much, and I think I still am a lot into blues music. But I remember that time blues was like everything.
Yeah.
So that's great. But if you ever see him, ask him why Jinx for the good guy.
I will do that.
Well, Jacques, thank you so much for being here. We are so excited. Let's start with so today we're speaking about turning pain into power, and I think you're like a very great example of somebody who took the pain that you've been through as a child or as a scholar or as a student, and you're using it today. Tell us a bit about that, and tell us a bit about your anti-bullying project that you are running at the moment.
You know, this pain into power, the problem with the pain that everybody suffers is that it can leave you with a hurt. I call it a whatever attitude. It is, and this goes side by side with my faith walk, but we'll get into that another day. But the disappointments you suffer make you think, it doesn't work. And then it leaves you with a whatever attitude. This is what happened in my life. When I was in grade 7, the teachers one day out of the blue announced that filmmakers were coming to our school to shoot part of a movie at our school. Now, our little school was on the plots, on the outskirts of Pretoria, picturesque, almost a farm school feel. And I can imagine why you want to make movies there. But the words of the teacher that day, everything in my little 12-year-old heart wanted to be in that movie. But here's the problem is, how do you get to be, because, sorry, I didn't say this, not only did the teachers say that people were coming to make a movie at our school, they also added that a boy will be lucky enough to be in that movie. Man, I wanted to be that boy. How do you get to be one boy out of a whole school? I knew I had to pray like never before. I was sitting in the back of that classroom and I was praying with everything in my heart, please. But only the popular boy was allowed to be in the movie, or so I pretty much derived. And incidents like that can pretty much vaccinate you. You got the gospel in too small a dosage. You had a wrong perception to think it's like magic, and when it didn't turn out to be magic, it leaves you with a whatever attitude. So coming back to what happened with me, today it's now 19 years ago. I went and I shot part of my own movie at exactly the same school. But I didn't do it to prove a point, to point my finger in the teachers' faces and say, you don't want to pick me, now I'll show you. I buried that hurt deep down inside of my heart. So much so that 2 years after I shot my own film at exactly the same school, I acted in the State Theatre in South Africa's biggest musical, Ons vir jou. It's a musical about the Boer War, and Dion Opperman said it's pretty much South Africa's Les Miserables. But one evening, for no reason that I can remember, I happened to share this very grade 7 incident with a fellow actor, Thorsten Weerkant. And while I'm talking to him, this guy looked at me and he had this look in his eyes. And suddenly I saw him bend down. He had this blue kit bag and he bent down, he picked it up, placed it down, and from this kit bag he took out a thick stack of papers. Now he's starting to page through it as he asks me questions. When were you in grade 7? 1982. And at one point he takes out one paper that he hands to me with the words, "This is the movie that was shot at your school." What I didn't realize but that Thorsten Weerkant was busy compiling an encyclopedia about each and every film ever made in South Africa. And he had a copy of that movie back home. He brought it with to the theatre, a VHS copy. I took it home and I watched that movie on fast forward. And there he was, Otto Koetser.
Jy is mos die wat by die ryke herders kom bly het. Jy dink jy is grand, hè? Waar is jou pa en jou ma?
That boy that got the part that I wanted. And when I saw Otto on that TV screen, that cropped up, hurt, that I didn't even realize it was still there. It exploded inside of me. I was literally back in grade 7. My wife will testify, I was walking through the house and I was pointing on the freeze frame on Otto's face, Otto. And I didn't know what to do with the emotions. For a week and a half, I had this turmoil, but I can safely say things were not great between God and myself, okay? Because I was thinking, really, God? I was a 12-year-old boy at a school desk whose heart's desire was to be in a stupid movie, and you can't even give that for me. How can I ever pray again? And after this week and a half of pretty much tantrum, I had a moment of clarity that, wait a minute. Otto, imagine that's the screen. Otto never became an actor. I became an actor. I acted in every soap in South Africa, and here I would mention it. In Egolia, I'm in jail because I stole Bertie's pakkie. In Song van Katrijn, I'm in jail for obvious reasons. In Dit Wat Stom Is, I'm in jail. In Hart van Stal, I was a good guy. I was in District 9 before I saw Otto on that TV screen. A month before I saw Otto on the TV screen, I even won the Best Actor Award. For my part in Kruispaad, Afrikaans television drama, or Best Afrikaans Television Actor, which is pretty much South Africa's Oscars for the Afrikaner, eh? And that moment I realized that God was more faithful to that dream in my heart in grade 7 than I was to it. Because when I shot my film there, man, I couldn't even remember it. It took me 2 years later. And this whole journey, and it's safe to say I became very ashamed. So much so that when I made my second movie at exactly the same school, I called the lead character Otto. Because with that I said, God, I wish this upon this boy. My friend Albert, listen what happened. That's an amazing testimony. I traveled the country. I went all over South Africa to shows and festivals in 4 years. I sold 26,000 DVDs out of hand, okay? It became time, and every 2 years I would remake a movie. In 2013, I made a new movie, Popularity, which is the bully film around girls and relationships. But then it became time to redo them in English because of the success of the Afrikaans films. I was inspired to redo it in English on an international standard. So in 2014, I reshot the first film, Langgras, into English and called it Khumbula, which is Zulu to remember. Khumbula, I will remember, is the title of the film. Man, I shot the movie, finished shooting it October 2014. But just to reiterate something, we shot outside Brit, which is an hour and a half outside of from where I stay. But for some reason, the scene at the primary school had to be shot at my old primary school. At great expense, I took the film crew there. And we shot the few scenes at the primary school. I finished editing Khumbula in January 2015. February 2015. I got invited to the premiere of a movie, the movie's name is Forsaken, in the Atterbury Theatre. Albert, who would the first person be that I run into at the theatre? Otto Kutzer. Yes, it's the first time in 34 years. I went to a different high school than him. It's the first time in 34 years that I saw that boy in real life. Now he's a man. But that's not all. Guess who acted in the movie that me and Otto went to see? Thorsten Wiedekind. The guy who wrote the encyclopedia. So I'm asking you, what is mathematically the chance that three people who share a story so intrinsically would meet together for the first time in 34 years at the same place. It is a bona fide miracle. And you know what went through my human mind? What a waste of a miracle. I could have used this supernatural power to orchestrate this get-together way better to get this movie in America, to get a distributor for this movie. By the way, this movie came second in Orlando, Florida, 2015. But when I had this revelation, I realized my story is not finished. And in a way, I think this is one of the values that I can add to your theme today, is that sometimes we try to preempt our testimony. And without realizing, I was probably doing it as well. But this realization made me realize that I had to go back to the drawing board. My testimony, my story is not finished. And we can talk about that the other day, because man, the two revelations that led after this was amazing.
Wow. So I just want to find this out. What happened with Otto was that just like, did he just get the part in the movie that you wanted, or did you actually go through bullying at that time?
I did go through bullying, but not through Otto necessarily. That's very interesting, because I got asked that question a few times. And if there was a bully, it was Otto, okay? But not because of Otto, because of me. When I talk about the 4 different types of bully, and the 4th bully is when you bully yourself. And if I was in the vicinity of Otto, I would feel bullied. But because I bully myself. My real bully phoned me the other day. It was my brother, okay? He categorically bullied me. And man, we can discuss that, the whole sibling thing. But because I was a chicken in my own eyes, thanks to my brother, when I was in the vicinity of Otto, I would become chickenish, if that is a word. I would become the chicken. So much so that it is unfair to call Otto the bully, even though his personality, often a bully's personality, he was the first rugby team wing. He was a brilliant hurdles, and he was this personality, and he was, he was a phenomenon, eh? He was really something. So in his presence, I would be bullied.
But if I understand you correctly, it's nothing he did. It was more insecurity within yourself.
And the little things he did. He didn't intentionally bully me, but I read it as bully.
Okay. And tell me, you spoke about the way you see yourself. Tell me a bit, like, if you can tell our viewers, how important is that, the way you see yourself, the way you view yourself, outside of how other people see and view you?
Wow. The way you see yourself. Let me give you some background to why I saw myself like I did. I was born in a family. I was the youngest, and then I became the oldest, because my mom and dad had 2 children way late in their life. But for a long time, I was the youngest. My older brother was 1.5 years older than me. And he was one of those phenomenal people, okay? He was the best in sport. He was the best in fighting. He was the best with girls. He was handsome. Academics, he was about only 3 cups he would not take off the stage that night. So again, in his presence, I would be bullied. And he phoned me when we launched the bully campaign on RSG the other day, and he apologized. But coming back to what happened, whenever me and my brother played, I would never win. I would be Superman, he would be Spider-Man, and there's no ways that Superman can beat Spider-Man, no matter what I conjured up. I never learned what it is to win when we played, okay? He would suppress me, he would use me to do stuff for him, the stuff he had me do, and I was just eager to please. So in a way, you try to get buy-in when you please. And it never happened. So the way of you thinking in yourself that I know has stemmed from that whole childhood is that it is like, it's not that you don't like what you see, but you don't have confidence. And the confidence, how do you get confidence? And this is the amazing message that I share with that first film, because that first film has opened so many doors for me, because it addresses the whatever attitude, it addresses fatherhood, because the boy, we can talk about the movie just now, but in the end, the boy overcomes his obstacles because he remembered what his father taught him. And it's only once you start overcoming that you build confidence. And so often we try to steer away from obstacles. We would like to follow the way of least resistance that leads nowhere. And you definitely don't get confidence from it. So, to acquire stuff and to just walk the walk, man, now that's a subject we can get into.
I want to ask this before, I want to get to the film now, but there's something you said that I think is kind of important, like maybe just to mention or quickly speak about for people who are struggling with this. You said you were eager to please, or eager to please others, if I understand you correctly. Is that more or less the same as being a people pleaser? And how does a person deal with that?
Undoubtedly.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly. Sorry, just to repeat your question, the siren.
So is that how does a person deal with that, and what's the difference between saying like, I want to help somebody because I really want to, and now I'm just a people's pleaser, I need to put up some boundaries?
Boundaries, it's 100% the answer, okay? And the problem with a people pleaser is that he buys with pleasing. It's a currency. In my life, it was a currency. So to take away that currency, you feel like you are going to lose out until you draw a line and you start saying no against your very grain, against your nature. Because believe me, a people pleaser by nature is this. You try to buy by being nice. You try to buy, and then you feel disillusioned when people do not reciprocate the exchange from blessing and doing something back. So it is a conundrum, and I just think the answer is to achieve something. In other words, look for the tough road, walk it, and by the end of it, you will have achieved confidence, which is what you get robbed of when you do people pleasing. Because in a way, people pleaser is always looking for a hookup. He feels or she feels they can't do it alone. They need someone to guide them and help them, a mentor. And that's great to have a mentor, but not to be needy towards this mentor. Take guidance and then do it yourself.
That's very good. I love that. Tell me quickly about this. You are doing some short films also with your anti-bullying project and stuff like that. Is there any way that if people would want to see more about what you do, or maybe get involved in what you do, is there any way that they can contact you or see these or get to see these short films of you?
Most definitely. Let them email us. I've got the trailers. Only the first film is a short film. The first film is 40 minutes, and then there's a whole message around bullying on the at the moment the disc. But all of this will be streamed shortly. But then the second film is 80 minutes long, and the third film is 100 minutes long. Ooh, and that last film, it's about relationships, Albert. Because if you look at what we just said about relationships, siblings and so forth, how people use that relationship to manipulate you. And in especially the two bully films, I just want to say this. Bully is a war. It is a war. And if you think of a war, look at Russia now. It started with a boundary. They try to cross the boundary, and then you have to push back. And if you keep changing the boundary, there comes a point in your time where you say, this stops now. This is the boundary. So I am so excited about this. There's so much that when people contact us that we would like to discuss with them, the films, the campaign we're currently doing. Of course, I just want to thank categorically Touching Africa for their buying in, and we are going to take the whole bully campaign places, man. Schools, if they want to contact us. Of course, businesses as well, because bullying it doesn't just end in school, it carries on. So learn what you have to learn while you're still young, and understand the bully and why you are being bullied. So yeah, great. Please email us and we'll contact you, or you can contact us via email.
Can you tell us a bit more about, like, I think this is a two-part question, but I don't know if there's like a holistic approach to this. But can you tell us a bit more about the schools that you, I don't know if you're allowed to name the schools that you've been in and how you worked, and also touching Africa's involvement in everything?
Yes. All right. So schools, they don't have an answer for bullying. Okay, the problem with current bully programs, it is a hit and run. They arrive and they run. To change the culture of the school, man, we've got pencil cases, we've got rulers, we've got the films, and children learn better with films. We've got booklets that we give to the schools, and of course the films. And then, and this I hope answers your question, you speak to different ages differently. So I've just been to Van der Bijl now, and this stems from the first time I did this at, there was a Kuro primary school that got me to speak to the kids. They gave me 1 hour to speak to the grade 4s. The grade 4s walked out, the grade 5s walked in. I spoke with them. They walked out 6s, then the 7s. It was 4 one-hour sessions back to back without a microphone. Albert, I was emotional. But you know what was amazing for me? By the time the grade 7s came in, I spoke to them as if they were matriculants. It just struck me how quickly children grow up in primary school and how you can communicate to them in so many different levels. And my testimony, we address the whatever attitude. I love to use this empty glass, to say a bully's glass is half full, as is the victim of bullying. Now, the bully thinks his glass is going to fill up when he bullies another's glass empty. It's never going to fill his glass. Yes, he feels better because that one's glass is less full. But that's not the way to go. The answer is to teach them how to fill their glasses. So yeah, I'm excited, man.
So I just want to ask, based on something you just said. You said the answer is to teach them how to fill their glasses. So do you teach this only to the person that's being bullied, or do you also have a program that actually helps and rehabilitates the bully himself?
Oh yes, undoubtedly, to rehabilitate, because bullies end up bullying. It is really me who was bullied. I can categorically say there was an incident where a weaker person than me, I end up bullying because I was bullied. This happened in the army. The army, I love the army, but in basics, I left my core group that I was in. I was in Alpha Company and I went to Delta Company, not Delta Echo, and they categorically bullied me. And there was a time, and there was this weaker guy, and I nearly seriously hurt him because I fired a gun at him. And because he was weaker than me, he was a soft target, which is what we teach the kids. You get bullied because you're a soft target. So figure out what makes you a soft target. Secondly, know your bully. In my movie, Samson Had No Muscles, the guy takes binoculars and he studies the bully. That's the metaphor. Know your bully. Then we discuss the different types of bullies and how you can address them. But at heart, a bully's glass is not full. So teach him how to fill his glass, and I categorically do that with the kids.
So you teach the person that's being bullied and the person who is the bully how to fill their glasses, if I understand you correctly. And I think both of them can either be, the root can be insecurity, or it can lead to a place of insecurity. And I also think that's maybe a very important thing. So tell us a bit about Touching Africa and their involvement.
All right, Touching Africa, Ari and of course Stefan, they approached me because they so appreciated what I do, and I happened to film the places I visited in Reitz and in Potchefstroom with the bully campaign, and Stefan actually supported me there financially as well, and it just grew, and their footprint that they have. They just knew that the bully campaign, they now inherited or took it over, and to bring it under their auspices, so that we can just take it quicker, faster. Because ultimately there's an app that we want to develop, and there's no ways that I can do it myself. And I have been trying to. I pretty much at one point had to say I absolutely have to give up now, because hello, I'm an actor. I don't have a salary. I'm turning 53 this year. I've never earned a salary in my life. This house I've built with my own bare hands because I went to a technical high school. etc., etc. So this whole testimony and being an actor and the films that I made has now, I don't want to say given me a platform, but it's ready for a platform during which I can impact the youth. So they bought into that vision, Touching Africa, and thank you for them.
Oh, that's brilliant. And I want to encourage people, if anybody wants to get involved in what they're doing, they're really doing an amazing work. Please send Jacques an email and get involved. The whole thing about us and the whole thing about our platform also, and I'm sure it's the same with Touching Africa, is we want to make a difference and we want to make a great influence in other people's lives.
And maybe someone can help you because there's a proactive and a reactive problem. Many times they call me when it is reactive or a bully incident already happened. But let's stop it I went to a school just close to Vryburg, Stella, I'll say the name, because of the incident that happened there 3 years ago. And I was just so hoping that someone, because I can't ask them, this is the problem that I have, okay? Proactive and reactive is, I don't want to do cold calling and go to a school and say, hey, this is what I've done, this is the letter from Grey College and all those. It seems like if we do it on the scale that Touching Africa is going to do it, people are going to call us. At the moment, I have to call them, and I can't. So that's why I'm carrying on, and it's slowly picking up speed again after it pretty much came to a dead standstill. But thanks to Touching Africa, it's changing.
I'm so glad, and we'll be. We are behind you guys, and we know what you're doing has a great influence. And like I said, I want to encourage just so many people to just become a part of it, and especially and this is the other thing that I want to speak about quickly after I said this. If you've been through something in your life and you've been through struggles in your life, not just those, but I think this is a great opportunity to use that to make a difference, because we are speaking about using your pain or turning your pain into power. And this is the last thing that I quickly want to discuss with you, Jacques. If there are any other people listening to us right now, and you can encourage them or teach them a little bit on how to use their pain, whatever they went through, and turning it into power, something that you've actually done, how would you tell them or encourage them to do that?
Yes. Thank you, Albert. Exactly. The worst thing with pain is to have a whatever attitude. Okay? You've tried it, it didn't work, and now you have a whatever attitude. So you must look at problems differently. A problem is an opportunity. So let me explain. And using the whole film industry as a metaphor. I'm an actor, okay? You heard my testimony about how I wanted to be in that movie. And when I speak to the kids in the schools, I tell them, I can make a movie about your life, whether you like it or not. Huh? The kids would ask. Let me explain. Do you know how you make a movie? And I say, look at this computer screen, play computer screen. When you make a movie is about a lead character. And so you will type in your name there, because this movie is about you now. So it's about a lead character and how he or she overcame their problems.
Wow,
what?
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So I tell the kids, who of you have got problems? Man, and I love to see their faces. They raise their hands and I say, well, fantastic. You're already in a movie. And those of you who did not raise your hands, guess what? Problems are on the way. No. And I use that to elaborate on that. But two things comes out here. Maybe, and I put the words in their mouth, maybe they say, Uncle Jacques, you don't know nothing. You don't know my mom and dad. Is it? So guess what? You're not a lead character in your movie yet. You are still a bit part character in your mom and dad's movie. So that's why when anything happens, you phone mom and dad and they arrive at school and now the mom and dad bullies the teachers. There comes a time in your life where you have to own up and face your own problems. And that takes them on a journey. And so I would say a problem is there. There's an opportunity in a problem. And if you can just keep at it, and it's like a little exam. If you write an exam and you pass it, you go to a higher grade, where another problem waits. If you win that exam, you go to a higher level, etc. The problem is nowadays, and this is the beauty about that first film of mine, it's a story about a group of primary school children who gets captured by game poachers. and they get carried off away in captivity. They were in veld school, so they were away from their parents and the teachers for that matter. They were alone in the bush. They get captured by game poachers. Now, the lead character, Jamie in English and Dirkie in Afrikaans, remembers what his father taught him. He does it and he escapes. Now he's alone in the bush and he survives in the bush, outwits the game poachers by continually remembering what his father taught him. And that is why parents are so important, because, and I teach this to the kids, and I just have to say this, for 4 years I told you I sold these DVDs and I was telling the parents this, and it broke my heart, especially at one festival. This lady said, but what if he doesn't have a dad? And I said, well, there's always, and then she said, what if he doesn't have a dad? And when she said it the third time, I absolutely had to realize that this boy does not have a dad. And then I said, well, you have a heavenly father who will provide an earthly father or a surrogate father or a mother who will fulfill the role of a father to teach you. But the last thing that you can have is a whatever attitude. So to overcome problems, you need input, how to overcome. Then you can't have a whatever attitude. Do it. And as you do it, you build confidence, because now you realize, man, they didn't lie. You just carry on. And as you carry on, you build character. Character. You build character and you gain confidence. And for me, that pretty much sums up what we were trying to say here today.
That's so good. I just feel I have to ask this because, you know, a lot of times I don't want people to make up their minds what we mean. I actually want us to be like very clear on this. Just from your side, what exactly, I think this is a 3-part question, but I want to ask it in one so that you can elaborate. What is a whatever attitude? Why do people develop a whatever attitude? And how do people get out of a whatever attitude?
All right, I missed the second one. What is a whatever attitude? I'll answer that. What's the second one?
Okay, so the first one is what is a whatever attitude? The second one is how do people get to a place where they have a whatever attitude?
What is a whatever attitude? A whatever attitude, according to Mark 3 verse 5, is a hardened heart. It is due to disappointments in your life, all right? You tried something, it didn't work. That disappointment leads to a whatever attitude. Whatever someone told me, whatever. So you are disappointed in what your parents told you, what you read in the Bible, what someone told you. So, and your second one?
No, how do you get there? And I think you answered it also is like, how do you get to a whatever attitude? I think it's disappointment without resilience. If you get disappointed but you're not resilient in the process. And then the final one, how do you overcome it, or how do you work through a whatever attitude if you get to a place where you have it? Yeah.
There comes a time, okay, and yes, the beauty of this metaphor of the film. With Langgras and then Gombault, there are 2 roads in life. A road of victory, Dirkie or Jamie's road, and then a road of captivity. That's the other 2 boys. They never escape. They get carried away in captivity, which in the end leads to escapism in whatever form. So the problem is when this road becomes the cool road for modern day society. It's the cool people who use drugs. It is the cool. So from a parent's perspective, and maybe even a movement in South Africa, we need to calibrate cool. That it is cool to walk this road. So how to get rid of it is exactly the process I explained earlier, and I'll do it this way. You get to a problem. Let's say you are currently in a problem. Do not stop until you find the mentor who can teach you how to get out of it. Then you don't share your opinion. You do what he or she, whatever they said. You do it until you have breakthrough. Now suddenly you realize, oh my hat, let's go to the next level, where there will be a problem waiting. The problem with life is we live in a happily ever after society that has been raised with fairy tales. And they think there is something like happily ever after. It's not there, it's a fallacy. There's just problem after problem, and so the sooner we learn to overcome problems, the quicker we'll get rid of that whatever attitude, and the hurts will turn into victories.
I remember you said something in the beginning, and I just want to connect it to that because I just remember in the beginning you said you prayed and then you realized it doesn't happen by magic. And I think that's an important thing to tell people, is like, when we say turn your pain into power, it's not going to happen. I don't know, one guy, Craig Rochelle, says it like this. He says it doesn't happen accidentally, it happens intentionally. And I think what I really like about what you say about the problem, I think we have to see ourselves, if we want to overcome, if we want to turn our pain into power, we have to see ourselves as problem solvers. Because if you can see yourself as a problem solver, you actually, I don't want to say like problems, but you welcome them, if that's not a weird thing to say. You welcome a problem because you're a problem solver.
Oh, you have to see this. Maybe I'll send you a little excerpt from when I use it, and let's just go. We're going to divulge here. Just coming back to what you just said, that's exactly it. You have a testimony, and turn your pain into power. You will have a testimony. And what is your testimony worth if you testify about losing? I want to say, shut up. Keep quiet. You only have an opinion. And there are too many opinions out there. It is time for testimonies. And when someone shares a testimony and you sit at that person's feet, you shut up and you say, please teach me how I too can have a testimony. And man, that is big, eh?
Yo, that's very, very good. How can I have a testimony? And a testimony is just basically your life story, or your story of how you overcame, or your story about how you were turning pain into power. And I want to encourage everybody that's watching, that can be your testimony. Your story can be how I took my pain authentically and turned it into power. I want to ask this final question. I know I said I'm going to ask a final question now, about 70 times, but this is not really the final one. What is your, and it's really because I'm interested, and I believe that people will be interested in it as well. What is your main goal or your main purpose with your movies? What is the main message you want to communicate to people?
All right. Each one has got its own, but I didn't choose this, my friend. I didn't choose this. The first film, Langgras, I shot without a script. I had an idea of a father. Rodney Seal, one of South Africa's biggest child evangelists, sat next to me in church, and he told me this amazing testimony of a group of children that somewhere in Europe got into problems, got into trouble, and their oldest boy, the lead boy, told his friends, don't worry, my dad will come and get us. And man, I got goosebumps. So that was the seed to the movie.
Don't worry, my dad would come and get us.
No worry nie. My pa sal ons kom haal.
But I still didn't have a script, and the person who shot it was Martin Nagel, a film school final year student. He shot the film for me. But when he edited it, it wasn't my film. And then God blessed me with a very expensive computer. Out of the blue, and that's another testimony. And I then re-edited that whole movie. And the day I finished, thunder struck my house. A thunderbolt through this house came through the roof. It struck me behind where I was sitting behind my computer. The computer was on. Okay, it pretty much would have fried everything in the computer. But as I was sitting there, someone was holding me around my chest. And when the thunder left, the house was dark, but my thatch roof caught fire, and my arms were lame. I couldn't move my arms. And I thought my wife held me, okay? And then my wife was talking off in the distance. And I couldn't move my arms to put out the fire. It was crazy. My good friend Albert then fixed my computer. I saved the film, and this led me on a journey, because after I made Langgras, I was thought, okay, there are two stories. I didn't plan the two roads in the script. And to this day, and because this was part of my studies, my postgraduate studies, which we can discuss later, I believe I was like a sponge. And when put under the pressure, what came out was the story with this message in it. As soon as I formulated the message in this movie, it led to other questions that had to be formulated. And this is how it gave birth to the second movie. And when it's not rocket science, I say I didn't plan this. It's not rocket science to think that the antagonist in a children's film would be the bully. But as I made these films, as at the shows and festivals, I spoke with parents all day. each and every person walking past my stand, and I was hoarse every show, after every show. I would discuss, and this impacted me, and this impact then got into the movies. So much so that the third film, Popularity, it's only true stories in it that I've fitted together in this storyline. So yeah, it was like market research around this bullying issue, and fathers, and of course relationships.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm so excited to see everything. I've seen a lot of things that you've done, that you've sent me via WhatsApp, and I really enjoyed everything you do. So I want to thank you, Jacques.
Thanks.
You want to say something?
I do. You know what's amazing? Langras, that I didn't have a script for, became Kumbula, and this movie came second in the world. No script. Wow. God wrote that movie, man.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Wow, your I have to say, your testimony, your passion, and really the love that you have for people. I think it's something that really inspires me. You know, the thing at the end of the day, love the people and use your calling to love people. Don't love your calling and use people and you're really a great example of somebody that really loves people. You use your pain, you use your gift, you use your talent to bless, help, and encourage people. It was just such a great honor to have you with us today. And you've said it a few times, and I'm going to hold you to it, that we're going to have you back. We're going to do more of this, and I'm very excited about this. Jacques, thank you so much. This was brilliant. We love you and we appreciate you.
If we can play out with the testimony of that black girl in Ferdinand Posma, where I shared the story. Okay.
100%, we can do that. We can do that. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jacques.
For a week and a half, I threw a tantrum with God. But after a week and a half, I had a revelation. Wait a minute. Stop die bus. Otto het nooit 'n acteur geword nie. Otto never became an actor. I became an actor. Hello. I acted in each and every soap in our country. I mean, remember, Kobus van Engelen, Kumkani put that bag over my head. Yes. Now, I even acted in District 9 before I saw Otto Kutzer on that screen. A month before I saw Otto on the TV screen, I won the Best Actor Award. Thank you. The Best Actor Award for my part in Kruispunt, the KK production, 2009. But a month later, I was reminded of a hurt of way back when I was still in school. And I blamed God for it. People, I became so ashamed, because that day I realized that God was more faithful to that dream in my heart than I was to it.
I don't even know where to start. This message really changed my life. Because I've been going through the same thing. I feel the same way you felt when you were in grade 7. There's just so much going on. And I've never felt this way before. With any guest speaker that has come to speak in Paris, my life has really changed.